Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unfiltered. I'm your host, Chaps McFarlane. Thank you. It is a lovely Saturday. Thank you for joining the show. If you're just joining us, right now we are just getting started. This is Unfiltered. I'm your host, Chaps McFarlane. First of all, I want to take a moment to thank all of our viewers who have continuously tuned in on Saturdays to support our show. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all of you who have left comments. We enjoy reading your comments. We appreciate all of you who have shared our videos, liked, encouraged others to watch our shows. All of this is to say thank you. I want to take a moment to also check in with our viewers to ensure that everybody's doing okay with the whole pandemic that has been declared upon us. I just wanted to make sure that all of our viewers, wherever you are, wherever you may be at the moment, responding to the COVID-19 pandemic, I hope you are doing okay, and I wish the very best for you, your families, your loved ones, your friends, your acquaintances, your colleagues, all the people that support your life and all the people that your life engages with as you go about, whether it is your career, your day-to-day activities with your families. I want to wish you well, and I think it is well. We shall be well, and this shall all come to pass, and we shall move on stronger as humanity than ever before. Mind you, this pandemic is come to change our lives as we know it forever, and I can say that there are a lot of good things that will come out of this. So I just wanted to say that to everybody out there, wherever you are, however you are responding to this pandemic and trying to make ends meet to deal with the realities that this has brought. Stay strong, be well, stay safe, listen to the experts, and it shall all be well. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We have a great show today. Our guest, Miss Alex Walker, is going to thrill us with her personal story and also her expertise in real estate and in other things that attach to that, whether it's mindset in starting a business, entrepreneurship, and also just being a good person. So we're going to talk about all of that. Thank you again for joining the show. I want to say this, the postings and discussions on the show or any materials that are expressed within this show do not represent the views or opinions of my employer or the employer of the guests that are appearing on this show. These are the views strictly and solely of the show, Unfiltered. Thank you again. Why don't we get right to it? I'm going to tell you a little bit about our guest, and she's right on with us, waiting in the waiting room, and I'll bring her right when I go through her biography. So Miss Alex Walker comes from a family with over 20 years of experience in the real estate industry. She grew up learning business within that family context. Her passion for real estate has grown since her childhood, and she has matured into that passion, also learning through the close relationships that she's had with everyone that her family has had the opportunity to deal with, given their experience in real estate. In 2011, she made the decision to pursue real estate and turn it into a lifetime career. She moved from Cape Breton, where she spent some time in her childhood, to Halifax, Nova Scotia, where she was a licensed realtor. And ever since, she has not looked back. Her career started in Nova Scotia, but she is currently moved to Ottawa here with her partner and two children or stepchildren of her partner, where they are rebuilding a business in that city, building their family, and also engaging in real estate continuously, as that is her passion. So she's going to talk to us a little bit about, you know, the challenges with all of that, moving to a new city, doing business in a new city, and also some of the challenges with trying to start off a new business off the ground in a new city that she just moved in. But Miss Alex is very positive, and she says the sky is the limit, and that is how she intends to pursue her dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't we get right to it? I am going to bring Miss Alex Walker right here in the studio to join us. Alex, if you're there, you could come in. There you are. Alex, thank you so much for joining us on the show Unfiltered. We are really thrilled to have you with us and for taking the time on a beautiful Saturday, be as it may be, to join us here. So thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here, and thanks for asking me to do this.
Well, it is great to have various people who have expertise in different things come and tell your stories. And really, this is a conversation, right? As we were talking, we're just having a conversation about the things you do, the things you're passionate about, and perhaps it might inspire somebody out there who's listening to maybe make some changes in their own lives that they may have been considering, but may have just not summoned the courage to do so. And that is why we have this show, so that we can impact and inspire people to do extraordinary things. So I'm really glad that you join us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really actually passionate about that in itself. One of the things that I kind of like to do is help newer agents that are getting into the business. So if any of them are out there watching right now, I hope maybe they take something from my experience and can use it to their advantage. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
Well, that is really great. Let's go right into something that has been a theme of this show for the month. The month of March, we celebrate International Women's Day. I mean, as we say it, women should be celebrated every day, but be it as it may, we have the month of March, which has been designated as a time to celebrate. So on Unfiltered, we've been doing just that, having different women come on the show and bring their perspectives to a whole range of issues. So we're happy you're here to do the same thing. And in that spirit, I wanted to ask you this question. How does your Cape Breton, growing up in Cape Breton, your Nova Scotian heritage, especially being a woman in the field of real estate, how has that shaped your worldview?
Well, I'll kind of get into growing up in Nova Scotia and more specifically Cape Breton. I'm really proud of where I come from. I think as a community as a whole, Cape Bretoners and Nova Scotians are just a really proud people. So kind of I always take those things with me wherever I go. I would say that the people of Cape Breton are what makes me proud. They're just a really humble, kind, friendly group of human beings. They're always wanting to help people, and they're fun. They like to be positive and have fun and be happy. And I think those are things that I've just continued to take throughout my life. It's not something that I've had to think about or work on. They are just woven into who I am, and that is 100% to do with where I grew up. I'm really grateful that I grew up in a small town. I think there's a lot of benefits to that. And yeah, I'm proud of the people that I grew up around, and I take a little piece of all of those people with me here in Ottawa. So yeah, I think that, it can be sometimes hard in business when you are considered too nice. I think that I have had that told to me quite a few times over the course of my career, that maybe I needed to be a little more aggressive, more assertive. And as a female, I definitely agree with that. I think there has been moments in my life where maybe I let that, kindness and niceness overshadow me getting something that I deserved. So that's something that I've really been working on balancing in my life, is learning how to be more assertive while still being myself and still bringing those values that I grew up with in Cape Breton with me along the way.
Very, very well said. And as somebody who has a very strong connection to Cape Breton, I can agree that everything you've said is on point. And in fact, I actually really love Cape Breton I love Cape Bretoners, and you know, I just enjoy the spirit that resides in this island, as we say it. So I'm actually there right now. So we're running the show right out of Cape Breton Island, right in Sydney. So I'm channeling that spirit.
I love it. I think it's important to note too, I did actually want to say this. I think from an outsider's perspective, a lot of people that are from different parts of Canada, I don't think there's always the best perception on how hardworking Nova Scotians and Cape Bretoners are in general. So
Agree.
Yeah, so I think that that's something that I've taken with me. We're a very hardworking group of people, a hardworking community as a whole, and that is definitely something that has kind of shaped what I've been doing in my life. So
excellent. So let me give you an opportunity here to say whatever you want. So sure. We know, as I introduced it, it's the month of March. You know, we just celebrated International Women's Day. We're continuing in that spirit here on Unfiltered, celebrating women. As a fellow woman, what do you want to tell your fellow women out there in the world?
Oh, that's a good question. What I would probably say, I'm going to start by answering that by saying I was extremely nervous to do this with you today. So nervous so that I considered canceling it. So I had to really look at what it is that we were doing here today, why we were doing it, and what can I bring to this. You know, I had this idea in my head of going and looking at all your other videos and what other people did, and I had to stop myself because I said, that doesn't matter. What is it that I'm going to bring that's different, and that's me? And what I came up with is that my strengths are that I always speak from the heart and that I'm always honest. So those are the two things that I have been able to use to my advantage throughout my life and throughout my career. And I thought, why be any different today in chatting with you?
Right.
The other thing was that I did something today that I was afraid of. And I think that that is the most important thing. And I already feel really good about it. I'm already more relaxed. So
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, so I guess with that being said, it's pretty simple. I would tell other women to find your strengths, use them to your advantage. I would say not to overthink what those strengths are. The things that are going to work best for you are usually the things that just come naturally to you. So don't overthink them. And then more importantly, I would say, do things that you're afraid of. Do things that make you feel uncomfortable. That's the only way we're going to grow. And as women, if we want to continue breaking barriers and getting to the next step and taking what we deserve, we absolutely have to be doing things that scare us, things that make us nervous, things that we're not supposed to do, and the things that make us stand out when we really just want to be blending in. So I think that would probably be my best advice.
Very, very powerful. I think that's very poignant advice. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Why don't we go right into it? I know this is the favorite part for you because it's the field that you're passionate about. So, you've built a reputation for yourself within the real estate industry here in Nova Scotia, and then you moved to the big city of Ottawa. So I wanted to have you share with us how, first of all, what your family's experience in real estate is and how that helped you formulate how you wanted to carry on your own practice as a realtor.
Yeah, so my family's experience in real estate, I'll get to that in a second. I think more importantly, my family's experience as entrepreneurs is really important. My grandmother has owned a cosmetics business and aesthetics business for, I think, longer than I've been alive, in Cape Breton. And I remember growing up there, spending a lot of time just kind of hanging out around her store and watching what she did. And as a little girl, being in a cosmetic store is pretty fun. So I would play with makeup, and they did ear piercings. And I remember, drawing earrings on pieces of paper and drawing ears on pieces of paper and using the earring gun like to pierce them and things like that. So I think in terms of entrepreneurship, that's really just been instilled in me since I was young. She grew that business quite significantly, and I remember it moving so many times in order for it to expand. So it really started with that, and it was always something I was super proud of. And then in terms of real estate, my dad has actually been in the real estate industry for, gosh, I'm going to be 30 this year. So I think like 28 years or something like that. He is a mortgage specialist by trade, if you want to call it that. I guess that would be his day job. And over the years, he started purchasing properties. So he would buy income properties and then flip them and rent them out. And he started buying properties in an area that really wasn't sought after at the time that he started. And it's probably some of the most prime time real estate in the Dartmouth area now, right downtown Dartmouth. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been really cool to see that slowly build. And I think that's important because people really need to know that real estate is a long-term investment. It's one of the safest things you can invest in, but it's a long-term investment. So you need to be patient. I always took a lot from, the advice that my dad would give me. I didn't really understand it until I got into the industry myself. So I don't know if it was something that I thought I would always do. But once I got into it, it was really nice to have somebody so close to me be able to advise me, on which ways to go and which ways to move. And, I've watched him start to build as well. He started building homes. So yeah, it's kind of our connection that we have together. And I'm really grateful for that.
That is excellent. So at what point did you feel, I know that in 2011 you got licensed as a realtor and you really kicked it off as your career, but at what point throughout growing up did you think, this is something I might want to do for a career?
Oh, that's a really good question. I've thought many times about like, what is the moment that, I felt like this was something that I wanted to do. And I really can't pinpoint it. I will say that I do have a real estate memory that really sticks with me. And I like to think that some of my passion comes from it. I'll share it with you. And it's actually a story that I don't really tell unless it's the people really close to me in my inner circle.
We're really grateful that you're going to share this story with us. So
okay,
go on
good.
right ahead.
Yeah, and I'll try not to get emotional because it kind of is an emotional story for me. But I grew up with a single mom and a really just hardworking mom, really independent, really strong. She's kind of like, I'm getting emotional just talking about it.
And it's okay.
Yeah, she's just a really incredible person, and I'm very grateful to have her. And just give me 1 second. We had lived in apartments for most of my life, or we rented homes, and she obviously had a goal of purchasing her own house. It was like a big thing for her. She had me when she was young, and she worked as a sales associate in a clothing store when we started out life together. So over the years, she was able to kind of just climb the corporate ladder, and she has an incredible job now as a regional manager in a jewelry company. She has multiple provinces under her, many stores. She's responsible for many people. But when I was about, I want to say 13, 14, somewhere in there, we were moving out of the home that we had been renting, and we ended up moving into my grandparents' house. And they have a 1-bedroom home. So my mom and I were in the basement, which was an unfinished space. and I remember we had like a blue blanket as like a door on our makeshift bedroom down there. And as a young teenager, it was kind of like a hard time for me. Just in terms of, you know, not being able to have the privacy that you wanted and have friends over, and, you know, as a young girl, just kind of those silly things that you think are so important at the time.
Right.
And I was just ready to have our own space. And one day, mom grabbed me and said, hey, like, we're going to go check out this house. I want to be really clear that we're actually not ready to buy anything yet, but the real estate agent says we should probably start looking and kind of get our feet wet in the process. So we hopped in the car and went over to this house. And the thing that I remember most about it is that it had this like long backyard with all these big trees. And that was something that I had always wanted when I was a kid, to have like a big backyard that I could play in. So although I was a teenager at this point, I still like loved that aspect of the house. And
Right.
you know, on the way home, I kept saying, you know, I just want to buy this house. I want you to buy that house. I love it so much. And end of the story goes, we get back to my grandparents' house, and as I'm walking up the back steps, my mom yells to me to stop, and I turned around and she said, I bought the house, we move in soon. And we kind of like came together and hugged and cried, and yeah, it was just like a really powerful moment in my life. So I'm super grateful for that, and I like to think that a lot of the passion of what I do stems from that moment. And for me, it's more about the stories of people and why they're moving with this next phase in their life, and the fact that I get to be a part of that is really cool.
That is, thank you so much for sharing that with you. You did get through it, and we appreciate you sharing that. And it's okay. I mean, that's a very touching story. It's very close to heart. And so getting emotional, telling that story is okay. And I think that it actually is very telling about the values that you've cultivated and that you bring with you to your practice as a professional realtor. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I wanted to tell you, and you know this because we had talked about it a little bit. I can only imagine the excitement of owning a home, a first home. Somebody like myself was still, that's one of our dreams, and we're working on it actively. And you were actually, in fact, helping us on that. So I can't wait. I'm looking forward to when I get that proverbial key and it says, ta-da! This is the home, right?
It's that final day of handing over those keys that feels really good for everybody, and you'll get there.
Right. So when I see my friends, share pictures of them standing, in front of that sign with the keys, even though I don't own the home, but they are just my friends, but I still get that chill feeling, right? Like I just get that excitement, about their success. So I wanted to ask you this question. So what do you tell people when they approach you and say, hey, Alex, I kind of am thinking of buying a home. What do I know? What should I know? What do I do? How do I approach this? What are the very first things that you tell your clients?
Yeah, so number one, I think that it's important that buyers sit with an agent and maybe get to know them a little bit, go through maybe like an interview process. Something that I do with all of my buyers is a consultation. So it's basically an information session for the buyer. So it gives us an opportunity to sit together. We can kind of start to build that rapport because we're going to be working very closely. And I really go through the entire process. Like, what does this mean from the moment that we leave here today until you move into your house? What are those steps, and how do we make sure that you get there? So I think it's really important just to find the right person to work with. You guys need to be meshing well, and you need to trust the representative that you have.
Right.
So I think my best advice is to kind of find the right person and make sure that they're sitting down and going over all the information with you. I'm really passionate about that part because I know a lot of people don't do it. It's just, you know, a buyer picks up the phone, calls an agent, and they start showing homes. For me, I think that step of setting everybody's expectation and making sure that the buyer is fully prepared for what's about to happen, it just makes your stress level as a buyer less, and it makes our relationship as a team stronger.
Yes. Wow. That is quite interesting. Let me ask you, so tell me how you went from being a professional realtor into thinking about flipping properties. I mean, they seem like they are very related, but I want to understand, you know, what went through your mind when you thought, okay, maybe I could try this other angle of business while also maintaining my daytime job doing this professional real estate agent.
Yeah, well, I have to be honest. I have a partner who is handy. So,
Very nice.
yeah, so that's probably not my area of expertise, the actual physical renovation, but I'm good at all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I kind of grew up in that. My dad has been doing that since I can remember, and he was doing it for the entirety of my career, and I was very heavily involved in a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
I managed his properties for a few years for him, which was like the best hands-on experience you could ever get.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, making the transition was a lot because we decided to do this when we moved to Ottawa. So we moved to Ottawa. I was in a new city with people that I didn't know. I didn't have a network here. I was starting my career basically from scratch in terms of building a business because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any connection here. And just the best financial decision was to buy a building instead of a single family home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we chose to do, and we decided to live in each unit as we renovated them.
Interesting.
Yes, we're still doing that actually. We finished one unit last May, and that has been operating as an Airbnb ever since.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that it was easy or, you know, I want to do it again a million times. It's tough, especially when you're living in a renovation. It's extremely difficult. It's stressful on everybody. It usually takes more money and more time than you're anticipating. But sometimes you just have to jump into things if you want to get to the next level in life. And I think that's kind of what we did here. The Airbnb is really successful. I'm really happy that we did it. And we're almost finished our second unit. And we will be running that as an Airbnb as well. And yeah, we're kind of just talking now about what is the next thing to do after this. And I'm sure that will involve flipping another property.
Right. Excellent. That is really informative. But I wanted to ask you to sort of bring this into the times that we are in. You obviously are in Ontario, and you know, there's a state of emergency there as a result of the whole COVID-19 pandemic. And also you're a realtor, so you sort of work in the triangle of real estate, banks, and sort of you know, people who are looking to buy properties, first-time home buyers, income properties. So can you tell us a little bit about how this whole pandemic is having an impact on whether it's your business, whether it's your clients, whether it's just the whole real estate market as a whole, and some of the tips that you might have for property owners, people whose main business is flipping homes, as you have said. It must be challenging given what's going on.
Yeah, well, first of all, as real estate agents, we are self-employed. So, you know, being small business owners, we know how that's kind of affecting all small businesses right now. It takes a toll. In terms of real estate, there are people that are still buying and selling, and there are people that absolutely have to continue buying and selling. You know, we have military members and families that are being posted to other parts of Canada. We're like right in the thick of posting season. And although a lot of that has been postponed right now, there are still people that are closing on homes. So today I had clients that they close on their home on Wednesday, but we always do a final walkthrough through the property just to make sure everything is good. So I did that with them today. Luckily, the house that they were buying is completely vacant, so nobody has been in there or been living in there. So we knew that, you know, it's a safe place to be. In terms of the real estate market, I have to say that I haven't seen a huge hit on the market yet from this. I'm still seeing properties being listed every day. I'm still seeing properties being sold every day. I'm not sure if you're aware, but we're in an extremely aggressive seller's market in Ottawa. You know, properties that are selling for $100,000 over the asking price. So it's been an aggressive market, and I really haven't seen much of a slow in that. From chatting with other people in my industry, I know that some sellers are being a little more cautious, where they're kind of suspending their listings from the market, or they're waiting to put them on the market to see what happens here. I know that mortgage specialists are still working, the banks are still operating, lawyers' offices are still moving. So I think if we do see a change in the market, or if this causes a slow in the market, I think it's going to be a little more long term. And I think it might not be a terrible thing in terms of us here in Ottawa, because it will give us a bit of a shift and bring us back to a more balanced market. And that's only going to be beneficial to buyers who are trying to own homes, and sellers are still going to get great prices for their property. So I think it's a matter of only time will tell with the real estate market here in Ottawa, and hopefully it doesn't slow things down too much.
So you're saying, in a sense, that this could be a good time for buyers? Is it a buyer's market, or you're saying that it's a seller's market right now, but given what's going on, it might shift into a more balanced cycle where it's good for both?
We're definitely still in a heavy seller's market. There's no doubt about that. I think that if this does slow things a little bit, we might just see more of a balance. You know, and I don't see it making a huge difference yet. So I don't know. I think it'll be long term. Like, if we continue to see businesses closed past this next week here, I think then maybe that could affect things. But as of right now, business is still moving. Obviously, as an industry, I've noticed most people are taking precautions.
Right.
So, you know, not hosting open houses is a big one.
Well, go ahead, because that segments into my next question. I was going to ask you what sort of precautionary measures are being taken by those in the real estate industry, especially where a lot of your job involves, person-to-person contact in terms of showing properties, and all of that. So what sort of measures are being put in place to sort of navigate these times that we live in?
Yeah, so I think it's really dependent on the individual agents. And then obviously we are all represented by a brokerage. So the brokerages are also putting in preventative measures. So I know for my company, we have completely closed our main offices. If somebody needs to be there, and that's, up to each agent's discretion, can go into the office, but the general public is not allowed in the office. So I know that's something that Keller Williams is doing. Open houses, again, it's kind of up to the individual agent's discretion. I personally don't think we should be doing them at all. They are what draws crowds, and that's exactly what we're trying to avoid right now. And then in terms of showings, for buyers that are wanting to go look at homes, I think it's dependent on the person. If it's somebody that absolutely needs to be looking and finding something right now, I personally am willing to go and do that. But there's a few things that I require. So sellers and buyers that haven't left the country in a certain time period, I won't go through a property if they have. Wearing gloves when we're going through. Making sure that buyers aren't touching anything in the house, so they're not, touching all the light switches and opening all the cupboards, things like that. So I think we just have to be really cautious. And then in terms of those other buyers who maybe don't need to be out looking right now, I know a lot of agents are doing virtual showings.
Wow.
Yeah, so going through and doing video chat through the homes. Which can work as well. And then for everything else, I think we're kind of, trying to do all the things that we need to be doing from our home offices
Right.
that maybe get put on the back burner the rest of the year. So things like taxes and website updates and, continued education.
Right.
So a lot of people are kind of diving into those things just to stay busy.
Right. So let me ask you this, and I don't know, but I'll just throw it out there. What do you think about sort of the response from the Canadian government in terms of, especially for people in your industry and people who might be looking to buy homes? I know that interest rates are now slashed to less somewhere under 1 or so. And there's all these programs that have been put in place, like allowing people to be able to pause on their mortgages, to pause on interest that they are paying to banks. And so can you tell us a little bit about what you think about the measures that the government is using to respond to the crisis that we are facing, and trying to help people stay in their homes and also meet their obligations?
Yeah, so it's a tough one. I believe that obviously precautions need to be taken. I think it's really hard for Canadians when, our economy is kind of stopping right now. Obviously, our health is number one priority.
Right.
I'm really glad to see that mortgage rates have been slashed and there's some plans in place. I did take a look at kind of the budget for the coronavirus aid that they've given out. And the only thing I can say about that is I really hope that banks are lenient on the rules that come along with allowing people to postpone their mortgage payments and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, we see something, but there's a million rules that come along with that. And if you don't fit inside of that box, you may not be eligible for that. And I think right now we need to be a little more lenient on some of those rules, and making sure that everybody is financially stable moving through this whole crazy process, because we really have no idea how long this is going to last.
That's right. Let me ask you this. So could you tell us a little bit about some of the challenges you faced getting into this industry, navigating the industry, and just as a tip to anybody who might be thinking, you know what, I kind of want to do this. What are some of the challenges, and how have you sort of overcome those challenges?
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges. I think when I originally got into this industry, I thought it was the easy route. I started when I was 21, and I think most people have this perception of what real estate agents do and what they make. But it's very different than what most people expect. I have people contact me all the time that are looking to get into the industry. Most people that I know from home in Nova Scotia. And I really love giving those people as much knowledge as I can and as much information as I can. I think one of the biggest challenges is expenses. A lot of people that are starting out may not have a nest egg of, you know, financial stability,
Right.
and getting into any kind of entrepreneurship, any kind of business of your own, but especially real estate, there's just a huge list of expenses that come along with that. So I think that's something that you really need to consider when you're getting into it. Another thing that I am really kind of an advocate for is new agents joining teams. So if you're not familiar with what a real estate team is, it's essentially a group of agents that is put together by the team leader. So, you know, these are usually agents that are, you know, at the top of their game, that have systems in place, that have knowledge and experience. They put training into place for these agents that they bring in. And I think that's so important. I know when I started in the industry, I really had no business guiding somebody through the biggest purchase of their life. And, you know, you make a lot of mistakes along the way. So I think getting in with either a mentor or a team is really important. And I would say, don't be afraid to ask a lot of questions. That was something that I didn't do when I started out. I was really kind of not confident about my age and my level of experience, but I wanted everybody to think that I was experienced and knew what I was doing. So I didn't always ask questions. Now, 8-9 years in, however many years it's been, I never stop asking questions. So I think that's really important. Just don't be afraid to ask something what you think might be stupid. Just, you know, ask the questions and learn, and it's only going to be beneficial to you.
So that very interesting. What are some of the things that you do? You talked a little bit about professional development, and you said that, you know, maybe a lot of your colleagues are now taking this time to do a lot of that. Yes. So could you tell us a little bit about what that entails, and also how you cultivate the discipline? You know, I think that as a realtor, it requires a lot of discipline, you know, because, you know, you're going into all these properties, you know, some of them, you know, properties that you, apart from doing that job, you may not have had the opportunity to be in those spaces, right? So you could even get wowed yourself. So can you tell us a little bit about that and some of the ways in which you have to cultivate a discipline, whether it's dealing with the public, your own professional development, and given that you're self-employed, you're the entrepreneur, you're everything that involves in that business.
Yeah. Professional development is a huge thing in real estate. And I think any real estate agent that has had any level of success will tell you that professional development is like number one crucial thing that you need to continue doing. Our industry is constantly changing. Markets are constantly changing. There's so many different facets to what we do. So you have residential properties and condominiums and new construction and income properties and commercial. There's just an endless list of things to be learning. The other side of that is, as a real estate agent, we are self-employed. Although we work under brokerages, we are responsible for the full operation of our own business. So that means you're the salesperson and the head of marketing and the CFO and the accountant and the administrative assistant. So there's a lot to learn in all of those things. I know the brokerage that I'm with is Keller Williams, and I chose that brokerage 7 years ago because it was so focused on training. So in terms of what's offered in my office here in Ottawa, we have multiple training sessions every week. And oftentimes they are done by agents that are our peers, that are my peers, that work directly in my office, that I see every day, that are at a high level of success in their market. So it's really great to see those people willing to share their experience and share what works and what doesn't. I personally engage in that kind of training every single week. It's completely free to us, so why not take advantage of it? It's so important. It makes us better professionals, and I think it really lessens our risk of liability. And for me, that really just means that it lessens the opportunity for clients to be unhappy. And for me, that's the most important thing.
Excellent. That's really good. Let's do something different.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, fellow viewers, thank you for joining. This is Unfiltered. I'm your host, Chaps McFarlane. Our guest here is Miss Alex Walker. Miss Alex has extensive experience in real estate. She's a realtor, and we've just been having a conversation about her experience in business, in real estate, and also just talking about how professional development. So please, as you know, we always ask you, those who visit us, leave a comment. We love to read your comments at the end of the show. Like, share our video, encourage others to join. Start a watch party if you may. We're going to do something new on the show today that we haven't done, and I think this is going to be something that we do going forward. We're going to play a game. Are you excited?
Yes, I'm so excited. Let's do it.
All right. So here's how it's going to go. I'm going to, and this is the first time we're doing this, so it might not be perfect, but we would perfect it as we go forward. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to use this this hourglass, and I'm gonna flip it, and I'm gonna read you in rapid succession a series of questions, and you gotta answer them. And the whole goal is to see how many questions you can answer before this hourglass is all done, right?
Okay.
And so you know, because you're the very first player for this game, you're gonna get an Unfiltered T-shirt anyways,
Yeah.
right? But you still gotta do it just so that we can show the next people who are going to come on that, you know, it's actually a very difficult game, and you know, you gotta bring your best game on. And also, we want to see who might be able to beat your record.
Oh, okay. So
That is if you set a record, though.
Okay, I'm competitive, so let's do it.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold this up, and then I'm gonna go through the questions, and I'm gonna just read them, and you can give me an answer, and I'll just keep reading the questions.
Okay.
And then there's gonna be 10 questions, and we'll see how many you can answer given this timing going. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, let me
hold on a second, because I see that the timer isn't ready to go yet.
Oh yeah. So let's let this go down for a little bit.
I want to make sure I get all my time.
Good eyes there. So why that is going down? Let me just ask you a couple of other questions. Why don't you tell us in general, give us a sense about entrepreneurship and how you came to that as a woman, as somebody who you know, had already your career lined out in front of you, having made the decision to go into real estate, knowing that your family has some background in entrepreneurship. Just tell us a little bit about what you think about entrepreneurship and why you think it is important that women engage in that sort of work.
I'm going to give a pretty short, straightforward answer for that. In terms of entrepreneurship, I think it's one of the most exciting things that you can do.
Yes.
It's challenging. And I think it's one of those things that allows you to be completely limitless. There's absolutely no ceiling on what you can do as an entrepreneur. It's completely up to you and what you decide to do with that business that you're in. I think that's especially important for women, because oftentimes we do see ceilings in other industries and jobs in terms of, you know, what roles we get or what wages we're offered. And as an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter what somebody else tells you can do. You just have to keep exceeding it. So yeah, I think the fact that entrepreneurship means a limitless life is just the absolute best thing about it.
We're ready to go.
All right, let's do it.
All right, fellow viewers, this I am going to have to hold this. Just give me a second. I might have a way of doing it. Let's see. Let's see if we can make it possible for you to see it. Oh, still
If
not
you can't,
possible.
I'll just answer until you tell me to stop.
All right, let's see. Oh, still not tall enough. All right, I'll do this real quick.
Okay.
And let's see. All right, at least you can see it a little bit, can you?
Yep, I can.
All right, so let me set it up and then let's go.
Okay.
All right, so are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, there we go. What is your favorite word?
Oh, damn it.
Good one. All right, what turns you on?
Intelligence.
Good. What sound or noise do you love or hate?
Love the ocean.
Ha! What is your favorite curse word?
Oh, I already said it. Damn it.
Okay.
Version.
Okay. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Ooh, a chef.
Okay. Nice. All right. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you first arrive, if you get there?
Let's take you to see all the people you've lost.
Huh, nice one. What are you not very good at?
Cleaning.
Oh,
If I'm
damn. Okay. Tell me something that is true, but almost nobody agrees with you on it.
Ooh, that I'm a good driver.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. When was the last time you did something for the first time?
Today, right now.
Oh, that was easy. I should have taken that out, knowing what you already said at the beginning. Okay. Let's see. If you had to pick a character in a book, movie, or TV show who is most similar to you, who would that be and why?
That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with just the lighthearted answer. And the most recent movie I watched with my stepchildren, Lovey the Pigeon from Spies in Disguise.
Huh. Wow. Good one.
Yeah, that's me.
That's pretty good. All right, we have two more. What's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear, not standing up for myself.
Okay, I think we ran out of time here.
All right.
And you answered 9 questions.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty close.
That's a pretty good record.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, so 9 is what you got to beat if you come on the show. And I don't know, this hourglass goes on for like a minute, I think. It's a minute or a little bit more, but we'll fine-tune it. We'll fine-tune it more for the next guest. But hey, you get a nice, beautiful shirt from Unfiltered with Chefs McFarlane, and it's gonna be one that's gonna be sent to you. So when we have it sent off to you, we'll have you on so that maybe you can wear your shirt and actually show the viewers that you got the shirt.
Okay, I would love to.
Thank you. Well, you did really good with this game. So
thank you.
I hope our next viewers who come on are going to enjoy it. We have a couple more questions and then we're going to end. Thank you for joining us again. And I'm just going to get to 1 or 2 questions that we have for you. And so tell me, what are some of the issues that you are passionate about? Social issues, and how do you channel those passions?
Well, I think this interview is kind of perfect because I definitely want to be an advocate for other women.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really important to me, but I have to say it's not something that I have really explored a lot. I've been focused on getting to where I want to be. So
Mm-hmm.
I think in the future, that's going to be a huge goal of mine, is to really kind of tap into that and find out how I can be of help to other women that may want to get into entrepreneurship. That's part of the reason that I want to grow my wealth as well, because I want to be able to do charitable things with it. So yeah, I think that's something that I'm going to have to explore more as I continue on with my journey here.
Very well said. And can you tell us about some of the, I should have put this in one of the questions, but generally, who are some of the people that inspire you and that you draw your inspiration from?
Oh, gosh, definitely my parents.
Mm,
Yeah. I have a lot of parents. You might kind of know my family situation a little bit.
yes.
Yeah, if I got into explaining the whole family tree, we'd be here all day. Yeah, I have
Definitely.
parents and step parents and just some really amazing people in my life.
Hmm.
And I think that throughout my life, they really kind of put me first and put their egos and own emotions aside, and it made for a really great upbringing, and it made me be able to have a lot of diversity in my life in terms of the people that I was surrounded by. Different personalities, they all have different strengths, and I think that's why I easily connect with people.
Hmm.
And that is definitely something that has served me well through my life and in my business. So yeah, I would definitely say my mom and dad, because they're kind of the two pillars, and then everybody else that they've brought in has just kind of been amazing people, and I'm grateful to have all of those people in my life.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us or if you've been watching, I'm talking to Miss Alex Walker. She's a realtor and with good experience, and she's also a business owner and an entrepreneur. And we've been talking on a range of issues. I want to ask you this, and I think this would be helpful to many people. Um, the real estate industry, just like many other industries out there, involves a lot of engagement with the public. And we know how people can be. People are always people, people come with all kinds of attitudes and things like that, which can be really stressful, speaking as somebody who works with the public. I wanted to ask you, how do you stay sane? Like what tips, what do you use for mindfulness?
Uh,
Given that your work could really be stressful.
yeah, it can be really stressful, and I think specifically with my industry, my work is really just an extension of my life. There's no separation between the two.
Hmm.
Um, that may not always be a good thing, but when you're trying to build something, it's just a part of who you are and a part of your everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of mindset, I think having a growth mindset is really important.
Right.
Um, Something that I've learned through my brokerage, Keller Williams, is that people often can't even dream big enough. They can't fathom being able to spend a certain amount of money or being able to do certain things. And if we can't, even dream about those things, how do we set a goal and how do we actually attain them? So for me, having a growth mindset is a huge part of my everyday life. In terms of the stress of it all, I have to be honest, sometimes I don't do so well with that. I don't let things go easily, so I will let things bother me. But what I've discovered over the last couple of years is that exercise is my absolute saving grace of life.
Mm.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you I do it every single day. I don't. I go through phases, but I really do just have an absolute better mindset and feel more relaxed, and I'm able to let some of those stresses go when I'm at home in my regular life. And that is easiest for me when I am working out and eating right. And yeah, that's become a really important part of my life.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. We've had a good conversation. Our guest on the show today, Miss Alex Walker, incredible person. Please tell our viewers if there are people out there in the Ottawa or in Ontario area who want to get in touch with you because of real estate, tell them how they can find you.
Yeah, you can reach me on any form you can think of. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. If you search at Alexandra Moves You, you can find me there. And you can reach me through phone. I'm 613-804-8139. And I do answer text messages as well. Or you can email me, alexandramovesyou@gmail.com.
Thank you very much. And we are also going to have this edition posted on our Facebook page. It's shared on your Facebook page. So if you wanted to reach Alex for any business or just to get advice on these things or to consult, please, you can definitely get to her through our Facebook page by seeing her name is attached to the video. Alex, I want to thank you so very much for coming on the show. It's been a real pleasure. And thank you for playing this inaugural session of the game with me. I would definitely love to have you again once we see how this pandemic plays out to talk about what folks that might be thinking of, doing things to their properties can do at that time. So thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun. I didn't expect to get emotional, but hey, anything can happen. So I would love to come back someday.
I really appreciate it, and truly inspiring. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes it for us today. Thank you all for dropping by and watching and listening. We thank you for your comments. Sooner or later, I know I've made this promise, we're going to be opening up the show so that the viewers can ask questions to our guests who come on the show. And we're also going to be having a panel that can come on and also just talk about some of the hot button social issues of the day. Thanks to all of our supporters. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to our team at Unfiltered, which involves my lovely wife and kids. and thank you. Please tune in again next Saturday as we conclude the month of March. Our month of celebrating women. We're going to have another incredible guest on Saturday next week. So please tune in and we will be looking to have another incredible conversation. Right here from Cape Breton, Sydney, Nova Scotia, signing out. It's your host, Chaps McFarlane. Have a good night.